here and just clean up that line. Let's go back to our shading layer here. And we're just sort of, I'm not a master of shade by any regards. So I basically just like try to ask myself, okay, where do I think the light would hit? And does it look good? And if it does, that's all I keep. Some of the finest advice you'll ever get on art. Again, there are better people to teach you art than me. I also really like to get dynamic shading underneath all the objects on the head. Now, so we've got our like base shading on this layer, and one of the reasons why I like this like clipping mask layer with the one color only on it opposed to the other method is because we can use something like a Gaussian blur. Made my shades too much. Can I twist them a little bit? Might be able to get away with that just a tiny bit. No, that's not gonna work like that. Might have overdone it a tiny bit, so we'll just like give it a tiny bit of a blur. Doesn't lose too much of its form. And then we can just continue that pattern all the way up. So clipping mask, grab our red, darken it, fill it in, blur the layer, go to the next one, and just keep doing that pattern all the way up for all of our darks. And when you're adding dark, you start with your base color. You don't want to go straight down because all that will do is add black. So if you go on an angle, you'll get hue and darkness added to it, which will make it a more vivid, like colored darkness. At least that's what I've understood about picking colors. I also do a lot of, especially when working with characters, I do a lot of just color grabbing directly from the characters in question. It's just an easier way of choosing your colors. The other thing I do when I'm doing colors is if you turn on a saturation layer like this and choose for yourself a gray, you can do what is basically like a hue test. So one of the problems with our eyes is that they will interpret colors looking different that are actually like to the brain very similar in hue and tone. So if you want to get good light and shadow and dynamics in your image, like if you look at Kermit here, you can see there is a very dark, there's a dark in the mouth, and there's another kind of dark around the shadow. There's another kind of light for the body and another kind of light for the top. And you can even see that this yellow and this green are like slightly different hues to each other. So this and this, you can't see where I'm pointing. This oh, I'm on a clipping layer. One second. This, wow, and this, these two things are different colors. Why is that red? Oh, because I colored red there. Anyways, it's a great way when you're picking colors to help create dynamics without actually having to like invent every color uniquely. I'm just going to create a little bit of eyeshadow here. And of course, I'm thinking about a light source that's coming from, you know, up above the eye, and we're just sort of letting that determine the general vibe of our light source. One more clipping mask here, one more color swap, and we'll have our darks done. I think that would be entirely dark. Right, we're trying to drop in there. And we'll just quickly blur that a little bit. And so we've got like the basics of our Kermit the Frog The last thing we're going to do is come in with light sources, and because we're doing really chibi, we're going to be really harsh on our brightness. And again, color swapping, and we're going to move up on an angle so that we get white added with saturation. So it's not just pure brightness being added, it's also color being added. We're going to be a little bit harsher with this. Sort of suggests that maybe he's like shining a little bit. Maybe we'll give that a little bit of a blur. Yeah, that actually helps. So let's move up our layers one at a time. The inner red layer, sometimes you want to be restrictive with your bright highlights. So like your inner mouth layer. Arachnia, so lovely to hang out with you. Hope you have yourself a great day. Take care of yourself. We'll see you soon. So inside the mouth, I'm not going to add any of that except for on the tongue. It's going to get a little bit, just to make him a little bit, to suggest that maybe the tongue might be a little bit wet and reflective. This one's probably not going to get any blur. Take care, friends. We are glad you're here. Glad that you joined us. And the same with the eyes, are going to get a little bit of the blur. Or a little bit of a bonus here. I'm presuming that Will isn't here anymore, but I do have my Steam notifications on if he is. Which makes me very happy, as a side note. We'll give him really bright, my eyes are wet coloring. We're not going to cover up, I don't think, any of the what do you call it? The black in the eye. Get ourselves a little bit of brightness here. This one we will do a little bit of a blur too. Alright, and I think maybe, should we try like a rosy cheek of some kind? Just to see if we like that, to make it even more cheat. More chibi. Put that one in shadow.